The most shocking part wasn't that my dad cheated on my mom. It was realizing he pulled my younger brothers into it. And now, they're the ones being punished. I recently found out my dad has been cheating on my mom. I don't know how long it's been going on or how many times it's happened. What I do know is that there was at least one ongoing situation that my younger brothers knew about. They were aware that our dad had a close female friend. They say they didn't understand it was an affair, just something that felt off. My dad asked them not to say anything. They're kids, and they listened. When my mom found out, everything exploded.
My mom was furious, and I understand why. She felt betrayed, humiliated, and blindsided by the person she trusted most. But instead of directing all of that anger toward my dad, she turned it on my brothers. She called them liars. She called them cowards. Then she told them she wanted nothing to do with them. I watched my younger brothers shut down in real time. I won't lie. Part of me was angry at them too at first. I kept thinking, why didn't you say something? But the more I thought about it, the more unfair that felt. They were put in an impossible position. They were afraid of going against our dad, afraid of blowing up the family, afraid of being the reason everything fell apart. And now, somehow, they're being treated like the villains. They're hurt, confused, and carrying guilt that was never theirs to begin with. What makes this even harder is my mom's personality. She's stubborn, proud. Once she decides she's done with someone, it's like a wall comes down. I don't even know where to start with her. I want to protect my brothers, but I don't want to invalidate my mom's pain. At the same time, I can't accept that children are being punished for something an adult did, especially when that adult manipulated them into silence. My dad is the only one who should be shunned here. He cheated, he lied, and worst of all, he used his own kids as shields. I keep wondering if he thought this was some twisted boys will be boys situation, like involving them made it harmless. But all it did was scar them emotionally and destroy trust on every level. And now I'm stuck in the middle, try to hold together people who are all bleeding in different ways. The hardest part is knowing this isn't really my responsibility, but feel like I can't walk away. My brothers need reassurance that they weren't wrong for being scared, that adults failed them, not the other way around. My mom needs time, but she also needs to remember who actually broke her trust and who didn't. I'm learning that betrayal doesn't just damage marriages. It ripples outward. It forces kids to grow up too fast. It turns siblings into mediators. And it leaves everyone questioning where loyalty is supposed to land. I don't have a perfect solution, but I do know this. Holding children accountable for an adult's deception only creates more damage. And if healing is ever going to happen, the blame has to stop landing on the smallest shoulders in the room. Sometimes the real fallout of cheating isn't just between two spouses. It's the family that's left trying to survive the wreckage. 7 years together, living together, still no ring, and I don't know if waiting is loyalty or self-betrayal. I'm 29 and my boyfriend is 31. We've been together for 7 years as of last November. Around year 4, he told me he planned to propose within the year. Not vaguely, clearly. I believed him. That year passed. Then another. Nothing happened. I told myself timing was off. Life happens. I didn't want to pressure him. After 6 years together, we started talking seriously about moving in. Because of our religious and traditional families, I was very clear about one boundary. I was only comfortable living together if we were engaged within the first year. He agreed. He seemed aligned with the timeline. So we moved in together. Now we're approaching 1 year of living together. And there's still no proposal. What complicates everything is money. Over the past year, he's had one financial setback after another. Unexpected expenses. No savings. For the last few months, I've been covering most of the utilities and groceries so he could get back on his feet. This year's biggest setback was that he had to buy a car. Because of his poor credit, the payments are extremely high. Recently, he got a new job that pays more. during one of our hardest conversations, where I finally admitted how frustrated and sad I felt about not being married. He told me something that broke me a little. He said he already picked out a ring, but he couldn't afford it. He told me the new job was partly so he could manage both the car payments and the ring. The problem is, I don't know if I can believe him anymore. Not because he's lying, but because I've been disappointed for years. My self-esteem is crumbling. I love him deeply. I truly believe he might be the love of my life, but I can feel myself fading. I've started thinking about moving in with my sister or getting my own place, not to punish him and not as an ultimatum, but as a promise to myself. Still, I'm terrified it will look like a threat, like leverage, like marry me or I'm gone. And that's not what I want. What makes this so painful is that he's not a bad partner. He does chores. He handles trash, laundry, and walks the dog. He makes me lunches on my in-office days. He drives me to and from work. He surprises me with flowers and small treats. He shows up to family events and supports me emotionally. He's paid his half of the rent. I've just been covering utilities and groceries lately. This doesn't feel like anyone's fault, but it still hurts. I keep asking myself the same questions. How long is patience, and when does it become self-abandonment? How many promises do you wait through before the waiting changes you? And is it fair to keep investing in a future that feels permanently delayed? I don't want to break up. I don't want to issue ultimatums. But I also don't want to wake up at 35 wondering why I didn't honor my own needs sooner. Maybe love isn't just about believing in someone's potential. Maybe it's also about believing in your own timeline. Sometimes the hardest decision isn't whether to stay or leave. It's deciding whether waiting is still an act of love or an act of fear. Have you ever felt like your partner isn't really talking to you at all? Imagine discovering that your husband, the man you've been with for over a decade, isn't even using his own words to reply to your texts. Instead, he's turning to AI to craft his responses. That's exactly what happened to one woman after 12 years of marriage, and it left her shocked and questioning everything about their relationship. She and her husband had been together for 12 years. Everything seemed normal, but recently, she stumbled across something that made her stomach drop. While browsing his phone, she noticed he was using the ChatGPT app. That in itself isn't unusual these days. But what she found there was two very specific prompts caught her attention, both about text between them. One prompt read, "What should I say to make my wife shut up?" with a screenshot of her message to him. Another prompt was a draft of an apologetic reply regarding an argument about him throwing her freshly dried clothes on the floor so he could use the dryer. She felt a wave of shock. The realization hit her. The man she'd been with for over a decade wasn't even putting his own mental effort into communicating with her. Every word, every apology was being generated by an AI. At first, she tried to rationalize it. Maybe he was stressed, or maybe he thought it was a fun way to handle arguments. But the more she thought about it, the more it felt like betrayal. Marriage, she realized, wasn't just about coexisting. It was about engagement, attention, and effort. And here he was outsourcing the most basic part of their relationship, talking to her. She remembered smaller incidents that subtly made sense. The way he sometimes replied late, vaguely, or without real feeling. The way arguments never felt resolved, no matter how long they lasted. It wasn't that he didn't care. It was that he wasn't putting in the effort to show it. She also thought about the power dynamics at play. Using AI to reply isn't illegal or shocking in itself, but doing it in private, about her, raised serious questions. Did he fear confrontation? Did he want her to think he was apologizing sincerely when he wasn't? And what about their communication habits? If she couldn't trust that his words were his own, could they ever truly resolve conflicts? The emotional impact hit hard. She felt hurt, frustrated, and a little powerless. This wasn't just about AI. It was about effort, respect, and validation. She realized that the AI wasn't the problem. It was what it represented. Over 12 years, she had invested time, emotion, and care into this marriage, and she expected the same in return. But this felt like a shortcut, a way to bypass honest, vulnerable interaction. Now, she faced a dilemma. How could she bring this up without him becoming defensive? How could she express that it wasn't just about AI, but about feeling seen and heard? Could she salvage this marriage when trust, even in small ways, was being outsourced to a robot? After reflecting, she decided that the first step was conversation, honest, direct, and non-accusatory. She planned to share her feelings about communication, effort, and respect, emphasizing that it wasn't about AI being wrong, but about how it made her feel ignored and undervalued. She also recognized a larger lesson for anyone watching. Relationships require active participation. Technology can't replace emotional presence. Words matter, and effort matters, even in mundane interactions like texts about laundry or apologies. By confronting the issue calmly and asking for mutual understanding, she hopes to open the door to deeper communication, and maybe to reestablish trust that has been slowly eroding under the guise of convenience. In the end, it's not the AI. It's the message it sends about care, attention, and respect. If your partner starts letting technology handle the personal side of your relationship, it's time to pause, reflect, and speak up. Because no AI can replace the human touch in love and connection.